you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Good morning, everybody, and it is morning, now 1:30 in the morning. Still not feeling 100%, but got to get my video in for Week 11 NFL picks, and I'm going to do a show here pretty soon. It's got to be, right? Anyhow, we'll get right to it. Another bad week in picks. So I got to tell you, though, these last couple weeks in the NFL, these things have not been going the way everybody's kind of expecting. There's certain players that aren't coming through like we'd expect. Certain teams for certain not coming through as you would expect. The Packers definitely are one of the teams that are on a downslide. Panthers keep winning, which is enough in its own right. But just some weird stuff happening. Teams losing that probably shouldn't lose, and it's just kind of turned into kind of a little bit of a wacky season, so to speak. But we did have one more undefeated team go down last week, Bengals. So we're down to two. That would be Carolina and the Patriots. Is this setting up for a Carolina Patriots Super Bowl rematch? I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, so 6-8 week last week. So that's back-to-back losing weeks. Not doing so well here. I don't blame me, though. I blame this crazy NFL. But I got an overall record of 87-59, so I'm still doing quite well. And so let's get right to it, shall we? Of course, we had Thursday night's game, Jacksonville and the Titans. Not a game that, unless you had any fantasy implications, I'm sure had a lot of attention from anybody. I don't know what this NFL color rush with these uniforms are lately, but they're definitely, I don't know, I'm not liking it too much. But anyway, I had the Jaguars in this game. That's 2 in a row for the Jaguars. Look out now, folks. That weak NFC South, or AFC South, division is looking pretty tight and pretty bad. But anybody can win it in that one. But I did have the Jags in that game this week. They did pull it out 19-13 on Thursday night. So let's start off with the 1 o'clock slates. Got a Rams at the Ravens matchup this week. The Rams got shell-shocked last week by the Bears, unbelievably, and made the Rams defense look really bad. I don't look for the Rams to do that poorly again this week. I'm going to go with the Rams in Baltimore over the Ravens, who are really struggling themselves. Again, they're just decimated by injuries. Essentially, Flacco has nobody to throw to. It's just a struggle there offensively. Justin Forsett's been a big disappointment. They're just having a hard time getting going. So we'll go in there. Now, the next matchup, we got the Washington coming into Carolina. Carolina is the only other undefeated team, as I mentioned, other than the Patriots. And, something tells me I should pick the Redskins, Washington here. But you know what? I just can't do it. When a team's on a roll, Got to go with the Carolina Panthers here until they prove me otherwise. But something makes me want to pick that Washington team. One of my upset picks this week, we got the Broncos coming into town to face the Bears. Peyton Manning has finally been benched. An atrocious weekend last week. 4 interceptions, 35 passing yards. And now we're going to finally see what Brock Osweiler can bring to the table. I've known Brock Osweiler since he was at Arizona State. And he's a 6'8" quarterback, folks. Got a rifle of an arm. Does struggle with a bit of accuracy issues. But he will be getting the start this week with the Broncos. maybe it could open up that offense a little bit. But the Broncos still have no running game for which to speak. So we'll have to see. That defense, of course, is one of the best. They're going to be a little shorthanded, I think, this week. But the Bears have been surprisingly playing well. John Fox has that team playing well. And the Bears have had a couple big wins here lately. And offensively, look out, folks. Jay Cutler is actually playing quite well. So I'm going to go for upset this week. It takes the Bears over the Broncos. And coming back to Florida, as we saw last week, the Cowboys lost to the Buccaneers here in Tampa, and I'm so mad. I was too sick to attend the game. So Dallas does travel back to Florida, South Florida this time around, coming in to face the Dolphins. Tony Romo is back. I think that's obviously going to bode well for the Cowboys. This pick is not because Tony Romo's back, but I am taking the Cowboys here. I would have probably picked them anyway. And now, unfortunately, it's going to be Romo's back. They're going to get their first wins with him being back. They were 2-0 when he left. This is going to give the Cowboy fans they're going to start talking and running their mouths. Now we're going to make a run, blah, blah, blah. Cowboys are still a bad football team. Next up, we have the Raiders going into Detroit. This could be a shootout game of the week. Looking for a lot of big numbers in this game. Anybody that plays fantasy or especially like daily fantasy as well, looking for a lot of play here. I'm going to go with the Raiders here for this pick, though. The Lions did get a nice win over Green Bay last week for the first time since like 1991. But, they're still the Lions. Yes, they are at home. But I like the Raiders. They've got a little something going on. So let's see what they can continue that. Next up, we got the Jets and Texans. Now, I don't know where Houston came from. They ended up winning a big game this past week, looking like the Texans team that we expected all year long. But you know what? I'm going with the Jets nonetheless here. So I'm going to take the Jets over the Texans. Next up, we got the Colts are coming into town in Atlanta to face the Falcons, who are coming off their bye week. I'm liking the Falcons at home in this game. Next up, the Bucs do travel out of town now, go to face Philadelphia. They have been Philadelphia's nemesis for quite a while now. I would love to think the Bucs can win. The Bucs are playing a lot better. They've already doubled their win total from last year, sitting at 4-5, and believe it or not, they are in a playoff spot. Contention, that is. It's not going to happen. I'm actually not hoping for it. I don't want the Bucs making the playoffs. They're better off not making the playoffs and getting a better record. And it's just kind of crazy talk to even think that anyway. They're still not a very good football team, but they are playing a lot better, especially on defense. They got to start getting some of those offensive weapons back. Looks like Safarian Jenkins just doesn't want to play this year. He might as well just not play this year, and heck, he probably won't. Vincent Jackson got back to practice this week, but I don't foresee him playing Sunday. I am going to take the Eagles here in that matchup. Next up, we got the Chargers at home, bringing in the Kansas City Chiefs, who had a big game against the Broncos this past week, did all that damage and responsible for taking Manning out. But I'm looking for the Chargers to come off the bye week, rebound a little bit, kind of get that big win that they've been trying to get for a while. Next up, the struggling Packers. We already talked about travel up to Minnesota. Minnesota is actually in first place in that division now. Look out. Adrian Peterson's back, playing very well. Over 200-yard game this past week. He might have a very good game against the Packers this week. However, something just tells me I just don't see the Packers losing another game. They haven't lost this many games in a row in a long, long time. I just don't see it. But their offense is not looking good at all. But I'm going to go with the Packers here. I just don't know how for real the Vikings are. This is going to be a real test for them. Coming back home, Seahawks finally get a little reprieve and get to face the 49ers. So the Seahawks can get back on the winning board, but I think the Seahawks season is pretty much done. I think that's the Cardinals' division to win, or actually to lose, I should say. So I like the Cardinals in that division. I like the Rams better than the Seahawks in that division as well. But Seahawks get an easy win this week, I think, against the 49ers and Blaine Gabbert. So speaking of those Cardinals, I am taking the Cardinals over the Bengals. Cardinals are at home. Defense is playing well. Offensively, they've got a lot of weapons. Carson Palmer's still on. The Bengals coming off a tough first loss last week. Everybody wants to say that Andy Dalton's it's the old Andy Dalton returning. I disagree with that. Andy Dalton's still playing well. You can't really blame Andy Dalton for last week. Tyler Eifert dropped 3 big catches last week. AJ Green could not seem to get himself open, and then when he finally did at the end of the game, fumbled the ball, which would where they had a chance to try to come back and win the game. So it's not all Andy Dalton. So I can still trust in him, but I like the Cardinals at home in this matchup nonetheless. And last but not least, on Monday night, we got my Patriots facing the Bills. The Patriots are at home. It's Monday night. The Bills have always been the Patriots' bitch. Look for that to continue. Patriots win at home against the Bills. Going to be a tight one, though, I have a feeling. Patriots pull it out late. Yes, they're going to be without their top receiver there, Julian Edelman. But I look for Brendan LaFell to get some more targets and Danny Amendola to step in there, kind of take that rollover. And you'll look for some of the other guys, maybe a Dobson or Martin or somebody to step in on the other receiving core for the Patriots. But that's it, folks. This is Sunday morning, and you have a great Sunday. And let me hear your picks as well. I'm going to be posting this up, so everybody have a great Sunday, have a great week, and stay tuned to 2 Cents Sports.